Okay, guys, I'm going to do a story about a girl named Vanessa Marcotte. This is from August 7th of 2016. I'm sure some of you heard of this story before, but since I just did the Molly tidbit, I figured I'd add this one as another video. Vanessa Teresa Marcotte was born June 17, 1989, okay? Was a 27-year-old American woman who, while jogging on a rural road in Princeton, Massachusetts, was assaulted and murdered. Her case went unsolved until April 15, 2017, when authorities announced that 31-year-old Angelo Colon-Ortiz of Worcester, Massachusetts, had been arrested of her murder after being linked by DNA evidence. Vanessa Teresa was born in Leominster, Massachusetts, to John and Rosanna Marcotte, an only child. She attended the Bradford School in Worcester, Massachusetts, and graduated with honors with a bachelor's degree in communication from Boston University in 2011. She then proceeded into her professional career, where she worked at an online marketing software startup in Boston called WordStream, as well as the American offices of Vistaprint. She eventually started working as an account manager at Google in New York City, where she worked up until her death. While Marcotte lived full-time in New York City, she often made bi-monthly visits to her mother and aunt, who lived in Princeton, Massachusetts, a small rural town of less than 4,000 people. On Sunday, August 7th, Marcotte left her mother's house on Brook Station Road in Princeton in the early afternoon to go for a jog before heading back to New York by commuter bus later in that day. Her family notified police within several hours passed, and she did not return. Police then immediately launched a missing person search. She was found deceased off the street on a trail in a heavy wooded area around 8:20 p.m., less than half a mile from her mother's house. Officials immediately classified it as a homicide. Her body was naked, and she had burns to her face, feet, and hands. She was also believed to have been sexually assaulted and strangled. She suffered from crushing injuries to her throat and had a broken nose. Her clothes, cell phone, and earbuds were missing, and partially burned sneaker was found near her body. None of the clothes were ever recovered, and it is believed that the killer may have taken them when he fled. Foreign DNA was also found at the scene. According to local witnesses, Marcotte stopped at the Mountside Market on Hubbardston Road in the afternoon for a drink and was last seen walking while talking on her cell phone after 1 p.m. Another witness who reported they had seen a vehicle following Marcotte, which had turned around and followed her again on the road which she was walking. According to authorities, Marcotte put up a huge struggle against her attacker, which was believed to have occurred between 1 and 3 p.m. The murder attracted so much attention from the national media and was often compared to the killing of Katrina Vetriano of Queens, New York, when she was found murdered under similar circumstances less than a week before. I'll do a video about her too as well. Authorities never officially stated they were believed to be related. However, a suspect linked by DNA evidence was arrested and charged with Vetriano in February 2007. Several FBI profiles commented publicly on Marcotte's homicide, saying they believed Marcotte most likely attacked a random by stranger, was randomly attacked, and the killer most likely lived or frequented in the area around Princeton. Shortly after Marcotte's murder, investigators opened a 24-hour tip line for any information from the public, which received 1,300 tips It was stated that Marcotte's attacker had been a male who likely had scratches, cuts, and burns to his face and arms. It was not believed that Marcotte knew her killer, rather it was suspected to have been a completely random attack. In November 2016, they stated that they were seeking additional information about a black or dark-colored SUV that had been seen parked on the road at the time and area where Marcotte was killed. On December 21st, 2016, in Princeton, Marcotte's family released the first public statement thanking the community for their support and announced that the family had set up a website, VanessaMarcotte.org, in memory of her and establishment of Teresa T. Marcotte Foundation. On February 23, 2017, more than 6 months after the murder, the Worcester County District Attorney Joseph D. Early Jr. released full details on the investigation, stating that the DNA of Marcotte's killer had been sent to the lab and profile had been created. It was not revealed how the DNA was obtained, but on the DNA evidence, a witness statements, the suspect in the slaying was a Hispanic or Latino male in his late 20s to 30s with an athletic build, average height, either short or shaved hair. It was also believed the suspect either owned or had access to a dark-colored SUV the day of the murder and had visible injuries to his upper body in the days following the attack. On April 15, 2007, a press release in Princeton early announced that Marcotte's alleged killer had been apprehended. Angelo Colon-Ortiz, age 31, of Worcester, Massachusetts, was arrested on April 14th and arraigned, placed on a $10 million bail. He faces charges of aggravated assault and assault with the intent to rape, as well as a murder in which he was indicted by a grand jury June 23, 2017. July 26th, he pleaded not guilty and was ordered by a judge to be held without bail. According to authorities, Massachusetts State Trooper on parole Worcester had seen Colon-Ortiz, who matched the description of the suspect, driving a vehicle identical to the one who had been seen on that day. The trooper wrote the license plate number on his hand and followed up by visiting Colon-Ortiz's residence with another police officer the next day. Colon-Ortiz voluntarily provided DNA sample, which came back to a match from the DNA that had been found on Marcotte's hands. Colon-Ortiz, a Puerto Rican native who had no criminal history, was married with 3 children and had lived in Worcester for less than a year. He worked for a third-party contractor of FedEx and made deliveries, and was familiar with the town of Princeton and surrounding areas. According to the Worcester neighbors, Colon-Ortiz was described as a perverted and often made vulgar sexual comments to people in the neighborhood. A former female Princeton postal worker also said that Colon-Ortiz often made rude comments in Spanish about her and another woman, his co-worker. Authorities revealed on the day of the murder, a local resident recalled seeing Colon-Ortiz outside his parked black SUV with the hood up. Talking on his cell phone around 12:45 in the afternoon, the cell phone records provided that Colon-Ortiz was indeed in the area at the time. Marcotte was believed to have left her home around 1:15. The resident drove by the vehicle again around 2:05, and the SUV was still parked there, but with the hood back down and no one around. Marcotte's cell phone data showed her phone either was shut up or disabled at 2:11 p.m., which was most likely the exact time of her death. Colon-Ortiz, who usually worked the morning shift, was not at work that day, and it's unknown why he was in that area. Okay. Now I'm going to look up. Hold on. I'm doing this on my laptop. I'm sorry, guys. It's freaking annoying. It's so big that it makes everything so much harder to do. So but I'm tired of my phone shutting off in the middle of me reading something, and I'm not doing that anymore. So, let's see. Let's see what I can come up with as far as... Okay. I'm going to do the autopsy report on her. Authorities allege the man arrested in connection with the 27-year-old Google employee at the time of her job, blah, blah, blah. Let me get to what they're saying about her. Are they even saying anything about her? Saying her body had burn marks and this and that, and her throat, I guess her windpipe was crushed, so that was definitely cause of death. I'm not sure if the rest of the stuff that was done was, you know, I just want to see if there's any definite information as far as her autopsy reports. Unless her family didn't want her information out there, which is definitely possible. So we have basically her crushed windpipe and her throat and the burning marks and what have you. So basically, another sad story about somebody who just decided to go for a run, and this is the outcome, okay, of just simply going for a jog turns into that. So I'm going to leave the video here. If you guys have had any questions, please feel free to ask me.